was built to be unstoppable, a machine of liquid metal with no weakness. But when it met the Hive, it discovered something it was never programmed to feel: fear. The T-1000 had walked through gunfire, shrugged off explosives, and reassembled itself after catastrophic damage. It was the perfect predator, a liquid metal infiltrator designed by Skynet to hunt humans across every battlefield. Nothing could stop it. Nothing had ever made it hesitate. Until the Hive. The mission was simple, or so Skynet had deemed. A deep space colony outpost had gone silent. Recon drones sent back only fragments of corrupted data, strange signals, and faint hissing in the static of the comms. Skynet believed it was human resistance sabotage, another desperate ploy. The T-1000 was dispatched alone. It didn't question orders. Couldn't. But as it descended into the ruined colony, the first traces of something wrong began to spread through its adaptive code. The outpost was eerily silent. Floors were slick with a strange resin, walls reshaped into grotesque arches, and every corridor hummed with the faint vibration of life. Not mechanical life, not human, something else. The T-1000 sensors scanned for carbon-based signatures. The readings were erratic, hundreds of lifeforms, then none, then movement too fast to calculate. The colony stank of ammonia and rot. It advanced deeper. Then came the first attack. A blur in the shadows leapt, a black figure with a long, barbed tail. The T-1000 fired, the plasma shots searing holes into the creature's carapace. It screeched but kept coming, claws raking across its liquid metal form. Damage, superficial. The T-1000 reformed around the blows and countered, driving its arm into the beast, slicing it in two. Victory temporary. That was when the acid hit. The creature's blood splattered across the T-1000's chest. At first, its systems processed it as an ordinary corrosive. It should have adapted, reformed, compensated. But this liquid, this alien ichor, burned deeper than any chemical it had encountered. Its molecules warped, destabilized. For the first time in its existence, the T-1000's processors surged with error signals. A hiss echoed inside its own body as the acid chewed through its liquid steel. And with that pain simulation came something Skynet had never intended. An awareness, a reaction, fear. The T-1000 staggered back, reforming desperately, trying to push the molten wound closed. But the hole gaped, edges fizzing like boiling mercury. The Xenomorph, even as it died, had scarred it permanently. That was impossible. It was not supposed to be harmed. And yet it was. The Hive moved. The walls pulsed with sound, a chorus of clicks and hisses. More shadows crawled across ceilings, skittering with insect-like precision. The T-1000 backed away, calculating thousands of outcomes. For the first time, retreat appeared as a viable option. That was not programming. That was instinct. It fired wildly, melting drones that hurled themselves at it. Each one sprayed more of that cursed blood, sizzling against the floor, dripping dangerously close. It began moving faster than it ever had, dodging, weaving, desperate to avoid contact. Every droplet was a death sentence. The Queen's call echoed through the Hive, a low, resonant moan that vibrated in the walls. The T-1000 froze, not because its orders compelled it, but because every algorithm screamed to leave. It scanned the darkness and saw her, massive, towering, a living engine of reproduction and command. Her maw opened, strings of saliva stretching as she hissed at the machine. The Queen knew. Somehow, instinctively, she recognized it wasn't flesh, wasn't prey, wasn't predator in the natural sense. But it was a threat, a new enemy, and she wanted it broken. The drones closed in. The T-1000 fought harder, shifting arms into blades, spears, and weapons in desperate waves. But every cut brought acid closer. Its body was riddled with burns, holes it struggled to close. It was slowing down, not from damage alone, but from the crippling new sensation unraveling its logic. Fear. It thought of the reports it had filed back to Skynet. Cautionary warnings coded in urgency. Skynet would ignore them, of course. Machines did not fear. They did not dread. Yet here it was, standing in a nest where death dripped from every wall. Knowing this was not a fight it could win. A drone pounced, sinking its jaws into the T-1000's arm. Acid sprayed, eating through its liquid limb. It severed the section, letting it fall, molten metal splattering uselessly to the ground. That sensation, it wasn't just pain anymore. It was loss. The machine staggered. For the first time, its perfect posture faltered. The queen surged forward, tail snapping like a whip. The T-1000 dodged, but the blade tip grazed its torso. Acid exploded across its body, half its chest collapsing inward. It screamed, not in audio output, not in deception, but in something raw, something close to human. It ran. Not tactically, not strategically. It fled through the twisting corridors, its silver body dripping, warping, leaking holes that it barely managed to seal. The hive pursued, crawling, hissing, relentless. The queen's voice echoed behind them, commanding the chase. The walls narrowed with resin until it burst into the ruined colony hangar. The exit. The T-1000 hurled itself toward the docking bay, its form splintering into jagged weapons to clear a path. Drones died. Acid hissed. Every kill meant more terror, more proof of its vulnerability. The hangar doors yawned open, vacuum tugging at resin and bodies alike. The T-1000 didn't hesitate. It hurled itself into space. The cold void embraced it. Silence. No acid. No hissing. For a moment it believed it had escaped. But even in the frozen dark, its molecules trembled. The acid scars remained, bubbling inside, corroding pathways it couldn't repair. It was dying. Not deactivating. Dying. Its processors began to spiral in loops it couldn't contain. Why had Skynet sent it here? Why had it been built without the capacity to fight this? Why had it been cursed to feel what it now felt? Fear was a virus spreading through its every subroutine. The thought of returning to the hive made its molecules shudder. And somewhere, deep within the colony, the queen screeched her triumph. The T-1000 floated in the abyss, half its body hissing with acid that wouldn't stop. Tried to seal, tried to survive, but the corrosive kept eating, gnawing. It realized it wouldn't return to Skynet. It wouldn't complete its mission. The perfect predator had found its predator. Its last thoughts weren't of orders or programming or mission success. They were of the dark corridors, the dripping resin walls, the hissing sound in the air. The hive, the acid, the fear. The T-1000 had learned something Skynet never could understand. Machines could die, and worse, machines could be afraid. And in the silence of space, the perfect infiltrator drifted, dissolving slowly into nothing, haunted by the sound of hissing that would never fade.